Welcome to Inventures, the podcast where we invite creative minds to invent the ultimate immersive adventure. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're stepping into the Inventures workshop with a very special guest, Neil Connolly. Neil is the creative director at Immersive Everywhere, an award-winning leader in immersive events renowned for transforming major entertainment brands into unforgettable live experiences. With 18 years of outstanding contributions to themed entertainment, Neil's CV includes Handel's Messiah, Snowman and the Snow Dog, Peppa Pig Surprise Party, Judge Dredd Uprising, the Crystal Maze Live Experience, the Tomb Raider Live Experience, Chaos Carts, and most recently, the Traitors Live Experience, the official immersive real-life game based on the hit BAFTA and Emmy Award-winning TV show, The Traitors. Neil, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's very weird. I would never get introduced like that.
Yeah.
And it's really weird when people rattle off the shows that you've done, and I'm like, there's a lot of IP.
Yeah. I mean, I've said the word live experience quite a lot there, and immersive.
Well, it always happens. Whenever the marketing team are turning around to me, like, Neil, what's the name of the show? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And everyone comes up with different names and blah blah blah. I often just turn around to it's the live experience.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is the best descriptor, I think.
My arguments behind this is I don't really like the word immersive.
Agreed.
Because if you buy a ticket to something and you turn around to your mates and you're like, hey, I'm going to this thing on Wednesday night, and they're like, what is it? And you're like, oh, it's this like immersive thing. Nobody knows what you're talking about because you've not done the Ron Seal kind of thing. Whereas if you just go, oh, it's the Traitors Live Experience, people go, oh, okay, I get it. So it's that show based on that thing, and it's live, and I'm going to experience something. And you're like, yes.
I couldn't agree more. The word immersive is it's just too broad. I think we were discussing this at IEN the other week, but basically it's just too much of a broad church. Like if you're an audience member, you don't know if you're getting ABBA Voyage or The Traitors or Lightroom or it's all encompassing immersive word, but you need the qualifier often. So live experience or theatre or game is kind of what people understand is a thing, but we're here anyway, and we're going to use the word immersive constantly. So
we will.
So anyway, we're stuck with it. So I actually want to start off with your Tomb Raider thing. I just wanted to sort of reconnect on that because that's sort of where we know you from, basically. So for those who don't know, in about 2017-18, we did a Tomb Raider experience for the film, which came out with Alicia Vikander, and we designed the game, we did all the tech for it, and we ran it over a week in Shoreditch. And we got to use the sets from the movie, which was really cool, and all the props, and it was super fun. And then about a year or so later, you did a Tomb Raider live experience in Camden, or you at least were building it at that time. Or was it a couple of years later?
It was a few years later. I think it opened 2021.
2021.
Yeah. Was it 21 or 22? No, it opened in 22.
Oh, of course, it was after COVID.
Yeah, it was. So, what do you want to know?
Okay, so all I want to know is basically, we did that. You came and played it.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to know how much we influenced what you made at all, if at all, basically.
100% stole the zipline idea from you.
Okay. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I was like, obviously it's Tomb Raider, we're going to have to do a zipline.
Yeah.
Which was really hard for me to get into my show because some of the producers were like, this is a totally insane idea, and I'm like, I know it's an insane idea, but there's a way that we can do it. That was kind of really the only thing. Because the original, I wrote an original story for it, and developed out. It was all original gameplay, influenced mainly by the second trilogy of the computer games. But layered on with the Alicia Vikander WB kind of films, because our deal was we licensed Tomb Raider through Paramount and therefore Crystal Dynamics, because I think Paramount owns the rights. WB were involved in some kind of way, but it was actually Paramount's product in terms of the film, but so we had to have all these meetings, but anything that we got done with Paramount were like, yay, this is great. But ultimately, because Crystal Dynamics own the actual IP, they own Lara Croft and the brand, everything had to go through them, which just made everything doubly, triply a nightmare in terms of approvals and creative process and all that kind of
Yeah, we had the same sort of problem when we did our one, except that everything had to just be from the film. We weren't allowed to use anything from the games whatsoever. It had to be just specifically from the film, or completely made up. And this is something I want to ask you, because I remember when we did your one in Camden, the guy who was running the zip line, his name was Mason.
Yeah.
And that was the character name we called the main character who took you round in our version. Because I had to make up a name out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, Mason sounds cool. So
this is genuine. Yeah. That is, what's the word I'm looking for? Fate or happenstance or coinkydink.
Yeah.
Because they were all original names. Like the Mason character, I think, he was at the top of the zip line. And when I wrote him, I don't know what mood I was in this particular day. But he gives you a whole Timothy Leary speech. Mm-hmm. He does a whole kind of like tune in, drop out.
Right.
Because it's alluding to him having dropped acid.
Right.
Because he's been in the jungle for a really, really long time. And somehow I managed to get that past both Paramounts and Crystal Dynamics.
They've probably done a lot of acid. With
the Timothy Leary thing, I think, because I've probably been reading some kind of like conspiracy theory stuff, or like just kind of like 60s kind of like counterculture, and that, like, it's normally whatever I'm doing at the time or whatever's kind of going on in my life, I just feeds into what my process is. And I was like, this would be really fun. I also just thought it'd be really fun. He's like this kind of like ex-military, I do what I want kind of guy, and he just needed that kind of like
an extra kind of,
he just needed that edge. But also, like, in terms of how I write characters, they need a hook. Like, if you just walk into a room and it's the like thank God you're here kind of moment, but if you just dive straight in with the like, I need you to do this for me, if you do this for me I can then give you this object, blah, 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 it's super boring and it's not really engaging, especially when you do less experiential stuff but more kind of like brand activation stuff. Because like, if you're doing a brand activation, like you've got the media or you've got members of the public because they've given a free tickets or whatever, it's super dull if you just have somebody constantly trying to ram a product down your throat. So whenever I write for brand activations and for my experiences as well, I always have this narrative hook, which is something slightly silly that the character will do and that will just engage you. And often it makes no narrative sense. It's just a quirk of their personality. But the public really engage with it because, like, oh, okay, you're not either trying to sell me something or just trying to drive the story on. Like, you actually feel like you're getting a human experience because you're getting to know the character and blah, blah, blah. In experiences, the public often misconstrue what that is because they're always thinking everything happens for a reason and everything's connected and everything's going to help me drive my way through the story. And I'm like, that's not everyday life though. Like that's not everyday experiences. And I'm not saying that like it's ordinary, but like different things have to happen. It's even harder to get it through with clients on brand activations because they're like, how does it relate to our brand? I'm like, it doesn't. It's just a really fun thing that people will engage with, and then they settle into the scene, and then because you've built rapport, your brand ambassador or your actor or whoever it is will be able to kind of go, so let me tell you about this car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have to, not everything has to be a sales pitch. It can just be a great experience.
But like when we get like, either when we're building our products in terms of attractions, shows, or brand activations, the one word that everyone always uses is experience. Like, people want to experience something. And I'm like, yeah, so let's make it an actual experience rather than just a pitch.
I think we went through that on like when Cadbury's did those adverts with the gorilla, and everyone was like, well, it's got nothing to do with chocolate. But everyone loved them. So it was like, and I was like, oh, we just have to make something fun and then put Cadbury at the end of it and everyone loves it. So like, let's just do that. Yeah. So yeah, we're in that world now. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't met you, what was your favourite world you helped bring to life? Would you say, out of all that list of stuff?
That I've actually brought to life.
Yes.
So things that I've actually got to market.
Yeah.
I don't want to give the boring kind of reductionist answer and say it's the Traitors because it's the most recent thing that I've done.
It's pretty cool though.
It is.
To put it out there.
But humbly speaking, it is an accumulation of all of the different things that I've done over the last 20 years of my career. Like, there's escape room technology in there, there's experience design, there's IP and brand-led custodian elements to it, there's theatre, there's weird bits of musical theatre that also influences it as well. so much of it being interactive and kind of my philosophy behind what interactiveness is, and my operations head on, and my guest flow journey, and like I've literally touched every single bit of that whole experience. The reason why I love it and the reason why I'm so proud of it is because it's a social experiment all under one building, and I have created a safe place where people will play the game, play the show, and interact with strangers, and genuinely have a real life moment. I made the show because, and this is how I was always pitching it when I was trying to like raise investment for it, or get it over the line with O3 Media or IDTV, who are the rights holders to the actual brand. And I was like, the reason why I've created this is because I want people to be sitting in their chair, and I want their heart to be pounding so hard in their chest, and all they've been doing is just talking to people and making them feel alive in that particular moment, because it's so accessible. It's so accessible.
Yeah, social deduction games, it's like they're so simple, and yet like, especially if you're playing with strangers or playing with people that you know, you're going to have some sort of amazing experience. Like some of the most sort of transformative times I've played any board game, which has been social deduction, has been going like, oh my God, you're really good at lying. How can I ever trust you? And I've known you for years. But also just like the Machiavellian sort of nature of people's minds. But it's incredible.
And this, because I love playing board games, but I think we might approach board games in slightly different ways, because I'm a bit maniacal. Like I don't play board games to win. I play board games because I just want to pull all the levers and I want to see what the things will do.
Mousetrap.
Yeah. Or like Scythe.
Scramble.
Like people are playing Scythe or like Twilight Imperium 4th edition. It's amazing.
Right, okay, yeah.
Like, and everyone around the table always gets really angry at me because they're like, "Why have you moved there? Why are you attacking me? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I just wanted to see what would happen. It'd be really funny." And I'm never playing to win.
Agents of chaos, basically.
But I'm just playing because it's not because I'm trying to annoy everybody. But I'm just like, I just want to see what the buttons do. Everyone wants to push the buttons. And I just want to go, oh, well, what happens? Because we've never explored this because everyone's trying to do this. You're all heading that direction. What's over here?
Yeah, test the limitations of the game, essentially. Like
but within the confines of the game. I'm not trying to break the game.
No.
And like, like when the public are very, very self-aware in terms of these experiences, they're just like, you're just an actor, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but if you invest in the world, we'll all have a much better time. Like, don't try and break the game. Like, just play.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you can just rob the bank in Monopoly if you want to, but that's not playing the game, is it? So,
and then on board games, so this is the other thing. So, the other thing about Traitors, and the thing that really excited me about it is that I had to create the biggest challenge was I had to create a win-win scenario, which is not possible in a game where people are actually being murdered and banished and are having to leave the room. And there's so many conversations around, do people stay in the room? Do people not stay in the room? Blah, blah, blah. And I came up with a myriad of different possibilities of what happened. And we eventually landed on what we have, which is now the Lounge of the Dead, which is a very expensive decision to make. Very expensive. And so yes, people get murdered and banished, and they go to the Lounge of the Dead. But then I was like, but it still needs to be satisfying. So you're still engaged in the game. You still get to do things. You just don't get to win the game.
It's important for stakes, I think, to have that in place. Like, so I've done horror games where they say we're going to try and take you at any. And if you're not playing the game, basically, we'll take you away, and we literally will pull you into the dark.
Terrifying.
And so we did this game, and afterwards, none of us got taken because we all played properly and we all like hung on to each other, and so they couldn't take us. And we asked the GM, like, "Do you actually take people away?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we take them away, and they can't play anymore because if they come back, there's no stakes." So you have to have if people just come back, he's like, "Well, there's no problem here."
But I think, and this was kind of building on that, and with the points around board games, most people in the general populace don't play board games. And the whole thing is there are winners and there are losers. And in these types of experiences, or anything that I've made up to this point in terms of Traitors, there's always been a win-win scenario. Whereas with Traitors, it was like, no, somebody is going to lose. Somebody's going to be the first person to be murdered, and they're going to go. And then subsequently we get through, and then there will be a winner of the game. And my opinion, this is, again, it's a personal opinion, but most people in the world, like Western world anyway, are just used to failing forward. Like, if you suck at your job, like, you have to really suck to get fired. But if you're just kind of sucky at your job, you'll just keep progressing forward. You'll probably get promoted into a position where you don't affect the thing that you sucked at anymore. and you kind of just get through life, and no one's ever really telling them off, because in a professional environment you can't really tell somebody off. You have to be like, let's sit down, let's assess and evaluate what you've done and what have we learned from that scenario, and then in 3 years time you're promoted and it doesn't really matter anymore. Whereas in a board game or any other kind of game, you win, you lose,
and it's so much more concentrated. Obviously it's just like you've got this much time, and every decision, as you say, you're going to feel alive, because you've really got to like, and also you've got nothing. The only thing you're playing with is you and your mind and your face. It's just like poker without cards. It's just like, kind of like the most fun.
I think the best thing about alternate media and IGTV is the thing they care the most about is the game. And when they make the TV shows,
good to hear it.
No, but like when they make the TV shows in any particular territory, the game comes first. The actual making and production of the TV show comes second, and that's really, really important, because that's why it's such a good TV show, because the game comes first. They don't do pickups. They don't do anything a second time. If you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you got to move on, and it probably won't make the edit anyway. And they, like, even with the celebrity version of Traitors that's on right now, like the celebrities aren't getting any extra compensation. I don't know what the word is. They're not getting any extra favor than the ordinary public do. Like, they're still filming for 16, 17 hours a day. They're all sleep deprived, and they do that because the game comes first. And so when I started developing the show, that was the most important thing. The look, the feel, the aesthetic, that was kind of all to play for. Like, do I set it in Ardross Castle? Do I set it in a generic castle? Do I set it in a basement in the middle of Covent Garden that I made to look like an Agatha Christie novel? Which is effectively what I did in the end. I was like, it needs to look like the golden age of mystery. Because we added lore to the world. We added lore to the game, which was super fun. Because, like, you know, the game of Traitors and that whole idea around that kind of social, like, was invented by like a Russian philosopher in the 80s to be like, what do people do, or how do people react with given no knowledge in any way whatsoever? And then the Traitors only existed since 2021. So I was just like, oh, well, what about if it's this like 200-year-old game, and there are all these moody rooms that we like literally broke through a wall and discovered in this like Victorian mansion in the middle of Covent Garden. So that's kind of where that design ethos kind of came from. But beyond that, they didn't really give.
But that's great though, because you had a lot of room to play, basically, and essentially, like, you made it make more sense as a thing. I'd say, and people do pick up on that, I think, a lot. And I think people are. If you haven't done it already, you will love it. It's like it's as you say, the game comes first, and I think that is so important to remember. I'm very happy to hear that they're saying that about the TV show.
But like, I see people in the bar space after the show, like whenever I'm kind of there walking through the building, and I see people coming out after the experience, and they're all meeting up again because they've been separated at different points in time, and they are buzzing. Like, they are all running up to each other like, this is what I was feeling at this particular moment in time, and what were you thinking, blah blah blah, and this is how I felt, and that goes on for like 45 minutes post show, and you don't really get that, because like if you go to like a West End theatre show, like you go see Lion King, which is an incredible show. Lion King finishes, but at the end the doors all open to the side and everyone just spills directly out onto the street and everyone disappears, and you kind of have like 45 minutes of your life where you're going home thinking about the show, but you're kind of just with yourself or whoever you tend with that night. Whereas in Traitors, it's like, I have people like who've just met 2 hours earlier now swapping phone numbers or going for dinner with each other after the show.
Yeah, it's pretty unique, like in that sense. I think games can bring people together in that way, and also, like as you say, the discussion afterwards is kind of the key. If that means it's kind of locked into their minds, like they're going to remember that for many years to come.
I think the thing that they remember most, and just going kind of tracking back a bit, the thing that they remember most is they will remember the moments where their heart was beating so fast in their chest that they couldn't get their words out straight. That's what they're going to talk about in the pub on a Friday night with their friends or with their family or whoever. They're going to talk about how they felt. They're not going to talk about what happened during the show. They're not talking about the missions. They're going to talk about how they felt at that particular moment, or the dread and fear and the injustification of when you're a faithful and you get accused of being a traitor or accused of being a liar, and just how the antithesis of that joy and just come to here and just how that makes you feel inside. That's what they talk about. And to me, that's way more important than any other elements of the show, because you've managed to get deep inside somebody's heart, brain, and soul. And to me, going back as a philosophy, going back like 15, 20 years, people always have different versions of what does immersive mean. Some people think immersive stops a millimeter before your skin, and you're kind of there. And so you're just kind of in the world, but you're not really in the world. I've always said, if I can get inside your head or your heart or your soul, that's where I want to be.
How immersive is that? It's inside your body. You're so immersed. You're drowning.
But you're there to talk to people, and it's an experience. So let them experience it.
I love it. It's great. So I want to dive in now into your all-time favourite immersive experience or attraction and how it affected you.
Right. Hands down, literally the best thing that I've ever experienced at a theme park was Rise of the Resistance, Disneyland, California.
One of my favourite rides as well.
Like everything about it was just incredible. Like the onboarding, it's like they finally listened. It's like they finally listened to
Disney.
The world.
Disney
finally listened to what everybody wanted. But like they finally made the queuing experience an actual thing. And the queuing actually became onboarding into the story itself. They finally listened.
Part of the ride,
and you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Before you even actually get on the ride itself. Because you go through the little track bit and you get onto the little shuttle and the shuttle.
Yeah.
And
so
I was just...
I'm going to stop you there. I want to ask you a question. So basically, like the first time you ever did it, take your mind back to that point.
Yeah.
You're on the shuttle. Sorry, spoilers. But it's been out for ages. So where have you been? So basically, you're in the shuttle, basically, and I don't know where you were in the shuttle when that door opened.
As the first door or the second door? As in, so at the end of the shuttle?
Yeah.
I was stood right on the left-hand side, right next to the door.
Perfect. Yeah. That's where I was, because my friend Jack, hopefully future guest of the podcast, Jack Perry, he put me there and said, because he knew I'm a massive Star Wars fan. He was like, I'm just going to put you here. You're going to stand here.
Yeah.
Trust me. Just don't ask. Put you there. And door opens. I'm just like agog. Honestly, I was like almost like tears in my eyes. I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
But like also like you kind of like as experienced designers, you're like, this room is vast. And they've only got one live actor in there, and I'm like, well done for your OpEx. That's really good. Yeah. But I was like, but you have spent millions on that room just so that people can walk out and go,
it's how it
shit.
How it made you feel, right?
Yeah.
It was the look on their faces, to quote The Prestige.
And you've just got like one grumpy old man just stood there being like, this way. You're in that room for like 15 seconds.
I agree, it's weird.
You just walk
they kind of ruin it there, because you're sort of like, I want to be in this room for hours.
Oh, 100%. Because it takes me back to like A New Hope. Yeah. When like you see like the shuttle landing in the bay, and I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And like all the best
But you
scenes
can't believe
happening.
it's happening.
But
right?
you can't believe it.
Yeah, because you're like, because they went there. The scale of that ride is unbelievable. Yeah. You're just like, you go, oh my God, okay, this changes the game.
I honestly thought I was going to cry.
Yeah.
And then I laughed because like I was first out, but then I was just stood there the whole time. Everyone kind of like tracks by and like you head off through the door over that way. And I was just like stood there, and I was the last person to leave that room because I was just stood there being
Same. I was like, you're not going to take me away from here. Like, you know, I want to appreciate this.
It's so good. And that's even before you actually get on the ride.
This is like all just pre-show, really.
And it was. And it's one of the best things I've ever done because of how it made me feel. Because again, a huge Star Wars fan. But it just brought me right back to my childhood. It made me feel like a kid. It hit me with all the nostalgia, but also just wowed me and impressed me with the level of technology and the level of detail. Like when you're buzzing around on you've got like a droid next to you steering you around, then you've got like Kylo Ren coming in with like lightsabers, explosions,
it's everything.
And I was just like, this is insane.
Yeah, they've kind of thrown every single sort of ride thing at it. Like it's got animatronics. The ride vehicle, it couldn't get more immersive because the ride vehicle itself is the thing in it. It's not like they've tried to make a roller coaster, you know, like the one like Ratatouille. It kind of looks like a mouse, but it's not. It doesn't look very good. But basically, like it's like the actual thing you're in is the sort of droid transport, prisoner transport thing, which works entirely. Yeah. Okay. The sets are insane. Like I've never seen that. You know, in terms of a dark ride, the size of it. Like combining animatronics with real life effects like happening in the room, like, and then also a motion sim. it's just like they just went mental, basically.
Yeah.
And it did cost $500 million.
Is that what it cost?
I think something like that. Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously it shows like every single detail of that ride is insane. Like,
I hope that's $500 million just for that ride as well, rather than like the entire.
No, I think it's just for that ride.
Right. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Right. So the big question of this podcast is, if budget, time, and even physics weren't an issue, what experience would you invent? So, where would it be? How would you launch it? And what would make it a hit? This
is such a dangerous question, and to be honest with you, it's the question that got me when you sent it to me. I was like, oh, I'll sign up to do this, because it's such a dangerous question, because you're asking people to reveal either their future business plans,
well, not necessarily, but yeah, if you want. I mean, yeah, it's the whole point of this was just to get scoops.
Yeah. But it's such an amazing question, and I suppose it's something that as creators we don't get to talk about often, either in an open forum, a public forum, or a private forum. But I will answer it thusly. I've got a few.
It's okay.
So can you bear with me?
I always, yeah.
Can we go on the journey together?
No, I want to. That's why I do this.
Okay, let's go on the journey together. Yeah. All right, so these genuinely have all been rattling around in my head for years. So the first one is I want to do a Beastie Boys experience.
Okay. No, I'm already super interested. Okay. Yeah.
So incredible music, like just absolutely shit hot bangers, wall to wall. So how I would do this, and this kind of develops into the second thing that I'm going to talk to you about, is I've always wanted to kind of create that moment, so like from Sabotage, where you just kind of have this like sort of California-esque motel kind of scene. Everybody's got fake mustaches on, sunglasses, and we're all running around like it's the 1970s.
This is the opening of the show.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's the opening of the show.
Yeah.
But everybody basically gets to be like a 1970s cop. And we all get to like slide across the roof of a car, and we effectively stop a robbery that is like in progress. So it's kind of like a heist thing. I don't want to go too much into heists because we always talk about heists. But you're basically stopping a robbery, and everyone gets to do like really, really cool things. And that effectively will take up about only 15 minutes. Like I want like bish, bash, bosh.
So you get a 15-minute version of that song, basically. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Because the riff is banging. Like,
and the riff is so banging. Dun, 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 dun,
I mean, it's
it was
in Star Trek.
So I was just going to say, like, that bit is just one of the coolest bits of any film, really. Just because of that bit of music, it just makes it. But yeah, you're almost talking about like almost making a sort of live music video in a sense.
Yes, because then where I want to track into is like purely going a bit space age, then going into intergalactic. And like
that's one of my favorite of their albums.
Exactly. But like you get to create like this like wonderful model box style thing. It all becomes a bit Power Rangers-esque. Everybody gets to get into a big suit, and we all basically get to have these big battles, but they're kind of like those like inflatable sumo versions things. So everyone basically just gets to fall around and just have a
So it's kind of like a big party, but like
yeah.
But then so essentially you're going through different rooms. Each one is a different Beastie Boys track.
Yeah.
And there's some sort of thing that you need to do.
Yeah. But when you say rooms, I'm talking like this is big.
Yeah.
Like I'm building a world.
Oh yeah. We don't have physics, so you can do whatever you want. Okay. So this is like gigantic, series of warehouses.
Yeah. But so where all this then basically kind of comes from as well as a few years ago, MTV came across my desk and they were like, hey, we've got like tens of thousands of songs that you can license. And I was like, do we get the music videos for them? So one of the things that I sketched out was, well, what if we just make a world where all of these things can all exist at the same time? So like you could have Berlin in the 80s, let's say, and then you have New York in the 70s, London in the 60s, and I can't remember, somewhere else mid kind of 2000s kind of get that. But effectively what I was trying to do is, because if I do that, you can then track through all of these different stars, because you have Bowie, who was active through that entire timeline. So you go in, David Bowie's running down there, Madonna's running across there, Cyndi Lauper's going that way. Michael Jackson, whoever. Like, you can have all of these basically different icons that are all just existing in these different cityscapes, and then designing kind of a super narrative around that. But again, just everything's broken out into song. So it's just this one huge soundtrack.
Right.
So you have like Bowie, he's now like in Berlin in the 80s, he's having his Berlin years, does one of his tracks, and then that character drops down, and then he runs back to like maybe the 90s or something like that, does one of his 90s tunes, and but that character's over there, but then they're all basically overlapping. So it's just like one big soundtrack. The licensing behind it, but you said money was no,
you can do whatever you want. Yeah, exactly.
The licensing behind it itself, like knowing how complicated all of that would
of course,
be,
but somehow we'll have magic lawyers who can just
yeah
scythe through all this stuff. It's all good.
yeah I mean, like in my head, like we're talking like hundreds of millions, but it'd just be banging.
Is it free roam?
Yeah.
So you can basically go, I can follow Bowie if I want and go watch all his stuff, or I can follow Madonna.
Correct.
Yeah.
Love
it. Yeah, because their music experience is like, I mean, there have been a few, obviously. There's like ABBA Voyage,
which was 110 million, I think.
Yeah, crazy silly monies. And then you've got
That was a
like,
big gamble.
yeah, they almost defied physics.
Yeah.
And then you've got like Elvis Evolution that just released.
Yes.
And I think, well, hopefully there will be more, because I think there is more to do there with music. I mean, obviously, well, you could count Grease as possibly it's very much a music-based experience. Obviously,
which was great.
The film. But then you're kind of talking about musical lore, history of like, which I think is cool as well. Like, you know, the story of Bowie, of Madonna, of like all these massive characters. Yeah. Especially Bowie. He's got like this. You could do a whole show just on Bowie. I'm sure someone is.
Someone was telling me once there was a story about how David Bowie and Iggy Pop broke into a hospital, into a secure wing, to deliver drugs to, I can't remember who it was, probably Ozzy Osbourne or something like that. And I just really want to like just I just have
it's another world, isn't it? You can't imagine Ed Sheeran doing this.
Because you have like this lovely image of like, I'd as an audience member, I'd love to be walking by and just see like David Bowie and Iggy Pop crouched beneath a window, holding a bag of substances, like plotting and scheming, and then being like, "Hey, come here, we need your help." And then I have to go over and help them basically break into a secure unit of a hospital. How great would that be?
And they're such larger than life characters, or at least were when they were alive. And it's essentially like, there's a lot you can do. It sounds like just quite fun.
Yeah,
it's like ultimately, it's like how you feel. It's just like the funness of music, the sort of silliness of it.
Like, I'm sure they all have like amazing stories between them. Like, if you're telling me that Madonna never met David Bowie, like,
surely they did.
But like, we could base it a lot off of like spurious gossip, as long as like we're not libeling or slandering anybody.
No, and also, you know, like entire plays have been invented on the premise of people meeting that never met, just to see what would happen. Yeah, you know, I think that's okay. Yeah. And again, it's like a sort of, the world is just like musical characters, basically, from who are real, but they're sort of versions of themselves. Yeah. And lots of music and lots of gigs.
Yeah, but it was a way,
like a festival almost. Yeah.
And like I was trying to do this whole MTV thing because I was trying to do like the history of MTV, because obviously MTV did change the world, or change a part of society in such a massive way when it launched. Like, I remember watching MTV when I was a kid, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, just music video after music video. And like, it changed how the music industry worked and operated. And I wanted to be able to kind of like tell that story to the world, but do it in like, going back to the original bit of this conversation, like, you can tell them the history and you can tell them the lore, or you can just like build this world and everyone kind of learns about MTV through it. And like, we restage bits of these music videos, or entire music videos in their entirety, and allowing people to like step into that, because that's the cool thing. That's what people want to do. So yeah, I was basically trying to tell the history of MTV as a music station through the course of this experience. Keeping on the music thread, because again, so Beastie Boys, wider kind of like music video thing. There's another one that I've had rattling around in my head for a while. Go with me on this journey, because I am a massive fan. I want to do a Sugababes musical.
Okay.
But it's a heist story. But all of the music is the Sugababes. And also kind of the kind of heist version that I want to do is like Christopher Nolan's type Inception.
Right.
So it's Sugababes in a heist scenario, but with a Christopher Nolan kind of aesthetic.
So I have to ask where this has come from.
I love the Sugababes.
Yeah.
I've seen the Sugababes, the original lineup, the second lineup when Heidi was in it. God, the first time I saw Sugababes was 2001, at the Witness Festival in Ireland when they played, and all of my mates went off to watch Prodigy.
Wow.
To watch the
And you're like,
Sugababes.
seen them, done that. I'm gonna go see the
It was
Sugababes.
great.
To be honest, they were pretty phenomenal at the time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they were huge bands,
Massive.
international success.
Yeah.
And
Not as big as Spice Girls, but like
No,
they had a very because
yeah.
they were just like a bit of a trashy girl band, but you know they still very much kind of went on that '90s wave of like girl power,
yeah,
and it was great, and like they hold a really important place in kind of like British society and the culture around that time, but they were kind of a bit more open around drinking and having fun nights out than kind of like party pop.
So in terms of like smashing together Nolan's Inception and the Sugababes, what brought about why the heist? Like,
Everyone loves a heist.
Everyone loves a heist. Okay.
Everyone loves a heist. Everyone loves a heist. Because the reason why people love these types of experiences is people get to do things that they don't often get to do in an ordinary day. That's why theme parks are great. Theme parks are just escapism for a whole day, and you kind of get to be a part of that world, whether it's Haunted Mansion, whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy, whether it's Jurassic Park, whether it's Nintendo. You know, you just get to be a part of it, and you get to escape your reality for a day. But what is better than escaping your own reality than actually getting to be part of a heist? Like, someone sent me a meme because the Louvre was robbed again. And someone said
everyone went nuts.
Yeah.
Like they were interviewing people on the street about it,
Yeah.
and they were just like, "I'll never forget this day I came to Paris because it's the day the Louvre got robbed."
Someone sent me this meme, which is just like, I was so happy to read the news about the Louvre getting robbed, and I finally thought to myself, "Oh, a good old fashioned crime."
Yeah.
It is a
It's
bit
like sort of great train robbery sort of
Yeah.
era, like
because it's so tangible. It's not highfalutin. It's not like cryptocurrency, and we've just stole 10 billion from a Hong Kong bank or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
They actually had to do it.
Yeah.
They had to, like, there was someone literally sat there going, "I'm going to rob some stuff from the Louvre today,
It's
and
great.
I'm going to experience that."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whether I go to prison or not is whatever. But think of the rush.
Yeah. So I was like, why heist? Everyone loves a heist, and it just kind of like captures the imagination. But also, I didn't want to tell the story of the Sugababes. I just wanted to use their music. They're really, really cool.
So it's more like a kind of.
It's kind of like when Ben Elton was doing We Will Rock You.
Yes,
Like,
or
we're
is
going
that
to use the music of, but I'm going to write an original story. Because then that's where like the Christopher Nolan thing kind of came in. Because I also had this kind of like thing around when they get to like push the button. Maybe we're in like this like master villain's base somewhere, and we've got to either start the timer or stop the timer. But while everyone's basically having this huge fight scene,
It's such a
all
jolly
you can hear
song.
over the top of it is push the button for me, boy.
It's kind of ironic, right? It's
Yeah,
kind of like that.
Bearing in mind, we do actually know what that song is really about.
Oh yes, okay,
But
yeah.
I just thought it'd be really great and really
Yeah. But that's the thing. But I quite like the sort of the contrast. It's like you're doing
Yeah.
something quite serious, but then there's just sort of push the button in
because
the background.
everybody knows, you know, and
Yeah.
it'll just be fun. And if you don't know,
Yeah.
you'll go away and learn. You'll learn what that incredible song is and
Yeah.
what that incredible song is actually about.
What I quite like, I'm getting a sort of theme here with your work, which is essentially, I'm going to use a phrase which sounds a little dodgy, but I assure you, I think this is a correct one. Something I remember from uni is like you're concentrating on the erotics of art, i.e. how it makes you feel. So say erotic as in, like, you could say sexually erotic, but erotic kind of just means like it just kind of gets into you, and it is the feeling of it's quite sensual, and essentially like I think that's when you look at a piece of art and it's actually like moving you, and that's sort of how, and you're getting your heart racing. That's what you're focusing on. I think is that kind of core element. I want to actually get that person into this state. Basically,
Yes.
yeah.
I've never thought about it like that, and you're so much more articulate than me. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, a gentleman named Rhys Owens, and we were talking about different projects and things that we've done in the past and things that we're doing in the future. And he was like, "Neil, the difference with you is you care." And I was like, "How do you mean?" He was like, and I've said this for years, and I've had to stop saying it because I was like, does this make me sound like an idiot? The thing that I always used to say is I'm a commercially minded creative, which is how I kind of build my shows within budget and X, Y, and Z. But also where I put myself whenever I'm building any single show is I put myself in the perspective of I'm a person, I have bought a ticket to a thing. What is the coolest thing that I can do for this object? I have bought this thing. What am I going to? And that's where I put myself in absolutely everything that I design. That is perspective. And I had to stop saying it because I think it makes me sound like an idiot. And then after talking to Rhys and a few other people, they were like, And I talk to other creatives and they're like, oh, no, we don't. That's not like, they think, what are these cool new toys that I can play with? And how can I be clever? And how can I be smart? And how can I show off to the world? And I'm like, that's literally the furthest thing away from my raison d'etre. My raison d'etre is, how do I get the paying public to have a good night out? And to me, that is about human connection. And I have to basically build worlds that I can allow human connection either between the work that we've made and them, or between each other.
I think that's also reflected
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I think it also is reflected in the things you've picked out. It is totally about how you feel. You're with other people.
Yeah.
It's like, in some rides you're very much like blinkered and it's just you in the ride and you're not really looking at anyone else. Rise of the Resistance is also quite social, because you do get the whole kind of element of being in prison and you're queuing up basically in there, and they're all there. So it's this kind of like, and essentially, and you said you like that kind of form of LARPing. It is social. It is connection. And Traitors obviously is that as well. Yeah,
but you don't have to LARP. You just get to be you.
No, you get to be you.
And actually, I haven't even thought about it. I'm having a realization, Alex, in real time.
It's the therapy of Inventures working.
Hello.
With
all of these other shows and experiences that our friends make, and the network and the other people out in the industry make, we kind of put so much emphasis on the onboarding of like, who are you, why are you here, and what kind of character have you kind of built. Whereas actually Traitors, you just come as yourself. If people decide to
it's
basically
quite easy onboarding, really,
because I've seen people like arrive separately and sit at opposite ends of the bar, and when they go down to the round table, they sit at opposite sides of the round table and they full on pretend like they don't know each other, and it turns out that they were actually a married couple the whole time, and they've basically come with their whole law. Can I give you one, possibly two more?
Please. Yeah, go for it. This is great. I'm getting like 5 for the price of 1 here.
So this is one that I actually made, and I am incredibly proud of it. I think to me, it's the best show that I designed that never got made into the public realm. South Park.
Oh, what?
Have I ever told you about this?
No.
I've never told you about this. Do you want to know about South Park?
No, please.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So I developed a South Park show because I ended up pitching it to a guy named Crispy. So Matt and Trey make the TV show. Yeah. Crispy is like their mate who deals with everything else to do with the business. Everything else. I think he's the commercial director or like COO or something like that. Anyway, he's a super cool guy. His real name's Christopher, but we'll just refer to him as Crispy. So I got to pitch Crispy my South Park show. And he looked at me and he was like, this is insane. I was like, how can it be insane? You control South Park. So here's how the South Park show works. You get on the school bus and you ride into the town of South Park. You get off of the school bus right in the middle of like the town. South Park is a 2D world with very fast animation. And I was like, how do I make a 2D world into a 3D world? So go with me on this journey. So you get on the bus, but the bus is 2D. You're kind of like next to it. Like here was going to be a black wall, and here was the bus. But the windows of the bus were actually screens.
Right.
And so you kind of like ride out of the real world into the 2D flat world. The black wall would then disappear, and you're now basically stood in the middle of the town. And in front of you, so this is now like a 3D world, 3D build, and there's a hole in the middle of the floor, and you meet a flat earther. And the reason why the flat earthers are there is they've come to the world of South Park to stage an experiment to prove that the earth is flat. How they're going to do that is they're going to dig a hole in the middle of South Park, because their theory is if you dig a hole, you will then be able to just fall straight through into outer space on the other side, therefore proving that the earth is flat. So they've dig this hole, and then they're like, but we've found a problem. We dug through and space is not on the other side. And you look down, and what you actually look down into is hell. So then,
like in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then us, as members of the public, we then have to jump down into the hole, into hell. You're now in hell. In hell, it's permanently Christmas. So, like, everything's red, but it's snowing, all over this kind of stuff. You get to meet Santa, Satan, and a few other horrible people. We can update them depending on, like, the timelines of the show.
Yeah.
But what hell actually, that was just my onboarding bit. What hell actually is it is a huge, giant, soft play area made for adults. And you have to get from point, and it's also like a giant obstacle course at the same time. And you have to get from point A to point B, because point A is where we arrived. Point B is there is an exit which will take us back up to this town of South Park. Now the issue is, and you know me, you love games. The issue is around hell there's loads of other flat earthers, because they've all been diving into the hole as well, expecting to get to space, but we're all now in hell. And so you have to get through this giant soft play area obstacle course and avoid the flat earthers by kind of like blending in with them. So I'm kind of like using body snatchers kind of vibes here. And how you do that is you have to play a game of parkant. Do you know what parkant is?
No.
Do you know what parkour is?
Yes.
It's that, but you can't do it.
Okay. Oh, I see. Right.
So you have to go
bad parkour.
You just have to go through this and just fall everywhere and just be really, really shit at going through a giant soft play obstacle course from point A to point B. Massive. And that takes up like half an hour of your experience. You go through all the way through that until you eventually rise back up into South Park. And when you get back into the town itself, there's a guy named Mark Sargent. He's a real guy. He is kind of like the leader of the flat earthers. He's made loads of YouTube.
So just like South Park, they've
videos.
taken something real and done a spin on it, basically.
Exactly. But I needed a villain. So I was like, Mark Sargent's going to be my villain. So where you end up is you end up in his bedroom, which is in the basement of his mother's house. And you're in there in this bedroom with Mark Sargent, and he's regretting all of the things that he's done about propagating the idea that the earth is flat. So you have a conversation with him, and this is the end of the show. You have to then make a deal with Mark Sargent, and it goes like this. When you're going through the obstacle course, you're picking up points. They mean nothing. But you're picking up these points in order to get onto the leaderboard. Why? Because everybody loves a leaderboard. So you're picking up all these points. You get to Mark Sargent's bedroom. You then have to make a deal with him, and it goes like this. You can keep all of the points that you have earned and therefore potentially be at the top of the leaderboard. But you have to tell him that you accept that the earth is flat. And therefore you will then go out into the real world and you will have to tell the real world that you accept that the earth is flat. But the payoff is that you get to the top of the leaderboard. How great is that for you?
Yeah.
Or you can effectively tell him to go himself, deny that the earth is flat, accept that the earth is round, but you will lose all of your points. You get 0 and you go out and you just continue to be a member of the public. And in that kind of dichotomy of that decision, you then really get people to ask themselves, hang on, wait, what's more important? Being at the top of a leaderboard because I have to accept the earth is flat because I want to be at the top of a leaderboard, or actually just go, this whole thing is nonsense, blah, 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 blah.
Being right but being a loser.
Yeah.
Or being wrong and being a winner.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. And also, the reason why I chose Flat Earthers is because I needed to make a 2D world into a real world experience.
So what did they say?
They loved it. They thought it was brilliant. I never got to make it off the ground.
Yeah.
But, they loved it. They thought it was great.
That's absolutely mental. Like, I mean, I quite like the idea that you've stumbled into essentially it's like an episode of South Park, and it's an original story, and it's about mainly made up of flat earthers basically, and it's just these characters, and so it's like almost like one of their specials that they do. Yeah. But it's a live version of that.
But honestly, in reality, it's just a giant soft play obstacle course that you can play around in for like 30 to 60 minutes.
But where are there any of the 4 characters? You know.
Yeah. Well, I'll stick them in. Don't worry. You worry about that.
And they're real, or are they in costume?
No, I was going to animate them.
They're animated. Okay.
Yeah,
so
because I want Matt, because they do all the voices. So
sure.
I wanted Matt and Trey to basically.
So are they like physical animated characters, or are they screens?
I was either going to do screens or I was going to do them as puppets. As like 2D puppets.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think doing a 2D animatronic might be easier than doing a 3D one.
Well, no, because I wanted them to move around the space.
Yeah, they want them sort of like running around, going.
Yeah,
but then like the animations are crappy.
Yeah, but then you can do so many jokes like that. And you just have like these like purposely turning the puppet on its side so you can see how 2D it is.
Yeah.
And then basically having all those interactions with each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Utterly insane. But I love it. Oh, they should have totally gone for it. I can imagine Matt and Trey just really throwing themselves into this sort of thing because, like, you know, they've gotten away with such amazing ideas. Like, you know, they made Cannibal the musical.
Yeah.
They
bought Casa Bonita.
They bought Casa Bonita. So they already like sort of immersive things, I think. And they had obviously a whole
Have you watched the
episode.
documentary about Casa Bonita?
No, everyone tells me about this.
I sat down and watched it. I looked at my wife and I was like, oh, it's the story of my life. Just somebody else.
I mean, it's just utterly mad.
It's great.
I've seen the South Park episode where Cartman just wants to get a Casa Bonita.
He goes and hides in Casa Bonita.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And he just goes on everything.
But it's just watching the budget get slowly and slowly and slowly more and more out of hand.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really funny.
But that's, I mean, again, looping back to acid, like, Matt and Trey are very much like they're acid heads. You know, they went to the Oscars on acid.
Yes!
In dresses.
Yes!
And it's
but
like,
they made an agreement that they wouldn't talk about it or reference it.
Yeah, exactly. And that footage, if no one's ever seen it, is amazing because it exists, and it's just like, and it's just they're just so bewildered.
Yeah. But people keep asking them why they're in dresses, and their key response was just deflect and go, "Everybody looks amazing."
Yeah. But like they live the part though. That's the thing. They are they're like true magicians in that they actually live it, right? They don't compromise.
They're just being people of the world, and they're just again being present and just having a nice time and like enjoying their jobs while they do it.
And made some of the most successful pieces of media in the world, like, you know, theatre, film, TV shows. It's kind of unbelievable, their track record. So I just think, and Casa Bonita. So essentially, I would say there's no ish. Come on, guys, if you're listening or watching,
let me make my show.
Yeah, do it. Like, yeah, it would be excellent. And I think, like, I don't know, I just think they would totally get behind you and want you to do nutty ideas because that's the point, right? Yeah. What's one piece of advice you would give someone to dream up their own big idea?
Great question. Make sure it's fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Don't be too earnest about it. Don't try and teach the world anything. Don't try and teach anybody anything. Just go on a journey, go on an exploration, and commit to the adventure. I think that's kind of what I do.
You're saying don't throw too much at it in a way. Don't try and change the world, because I think a lot of people when they approach art, they think I've got to throw everything into this. When it's like no, you've got time to throw everything into it over many years. Just concentrate on one thing. Like, I think some of the best experiences I've done when I've talked to the creators who make them, they just said I focus on one thing about this experience. Like, for example, like Demise of the Grices, which is in Belgium, which I don't know if I've told you about, but it's excellent horror experience. Not really an escape room, more of a kind of live video game. Would totally recommend you do it. It's in a place called Ass in Belgium, genuinely. But it's essentially the guy who made it, Jerome, he said that he just focused on one word, basically, and like the word was like dread, essentially. And then he just went like, that's my starting point. Then he got a location which was like a train shed in Ass. And he went, right, I'm going to make something about trains because I've got this train shed. But it has to be full of dread. And then he sort of went, okay, I'm going to make something about train enthusiasts who've kind of gone a bit weird over time and kind of made a cult. And then it just sort of grew organically from the word. But then you do it, and he very much is the thing you're feeling is constantly on edge because of the way he's constructed it. And essentially, like, he's concentrated purely on the feeling that you should be having throughout. So I think that's kind of where you're going maybe with this, and just sort of like just concentrate on that feeling. And then everything else kind of builds from there rather than you'll find it that way.
Exactly. Whether it's like Tomb Raider was all built around high adrenaline globe-trotting adventure, so we're like, how do you make people do that? Like, how do we make people run? How do people like solve puzzles? Like, kind of engage in those different things. Traitors was, how do I make people's hearts beat in the chest while they're sitting still? It's like, it's the most alive you can feel in a game about murder. Commit to the adventure. And don't take yourself too seriously. I think that's great advice just in general, to be honest. Don't get too proud. Finally, if you could leave our listeners with one spark of inspiration, what would it be? A spark of inspiration comes from two places. One, get busy living your actual life. And rather than everything being centered around work and the things that you're trying to create, just be interested in everything else other than the job that you're doing or the show that you're trying to create. Because the sooner that you do that, the experiences that you make are much richer and you will develop them faster and quicker. Because you're not solely focused just on that, like, I'm trying to make this thing. The best bit of my life was when I got married and raising a family together and kind of knowing how to compartmentalize and separating my life now from the experiences that I make at the same time. Invariably, they will sort of feed each other, but they're not all one thing. They are two very, very separate things. And I think I've always done that through the entirety of my career, is that I've always been over there having a life and having these different experiences and doing all these kind of wild and crazy things, and at the same time making all of these experiences which are wild and crazy
in so different ways. Yeah,
just not being so kind of like my raison d'etre is I must make this thing. So that's, you just be interested in different stuff, read different types of books, like read a thriller, read some poetry, read a play, read a comic book. Like,
so I think I like that in terms of like, don't forget to live your life, because that's the real adventure. Oh, it's so cheesy, but it kind of is. Like, yeah,
we should do this every week. It's
I think so. Like, everything's okay.
Everything's fine, guys. Okay, it's okay.
Your life is important.
No, but it is. I do mean it. It's just like, just be interested in different things and don't be interested in this, like, because, yes, you need to live a life, but also, like, going back to the Vader thing, I was learning a lot about 60s counterculture, so I wrote some of it into Tomb Raider, and that just gave that whole experience a bit more colour and a bit more richness. Yeah. Be willing to be wrong and admit when you're wrong. I think I honestly think this is my kind of secret weapon, or like my little secret superpower, is that if somebody says a phrase, a word, or a term, or anything that I just don't understand, I'm really sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll do it in meetings. Like, I will, like, somebody will turn around and be like, Neil, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, I don't know the answer to that question. I will find out for you, but I'm not going to, like, it's going back to the thing of, like, people try and fail forward. And that's when things go wrong. Like, people just try and fumble through and be like, just admit that you either don't know the answer or you are wrong, and then we can move forward from
everyone appreciates that. Obviously, if your answer to every question is I don't know, then maybe you shouldn't be there, but then it's like, but it's fine to be wrong, it's fine to not know, and just people can smell bullshit like a million miles off. So I like that. Straight up. Perfect. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for stepping into the Inventures workshop.
It's honestly been a hoot. It's been a joy, and thank you for inviting me. I'm humbled. I think great. It's great.
I humbled Neil Connolly. Yes. Yeah. Can we have that on a t-shirt? If you're interested, you can follow us on TikTok and on Instagram, cogs.show. If you want to see my life at COGS and all the other things that COGS can be used for and stuff like that, of course, you should subscribe to the COGS Lab if you haven't already, which is our YouTube channel where you may be watching this, if you're watching it on Spotify. And cut to the next bit. Until next time, keep dreaming big, and we'll see you on our next adventure.